Despite its happy-go-lucky Dragon Ball-esque opening, Hunter x Hunter is not an anime to be taken lightly. Last week we talked about my favorite show of all time, Yu Yu Hakusho, so I figured in closing out the month of Shonember, we should wrap up with its little brother, Hunter x Hunter. Though exceedingly different, both of these series were the brainchildren of a man named Yoshihiro Togashi, whom I only briefly mentioned last time. And while they share the same DNA, Yu Yu and Hunter x Hunter are extremely different beasts. While Yu Yu worked to perfect the archetypical shonen power fantasy, Hunter x Hunter is about chewing that archetype up and spitting it out. It's the difference between Star Wars and Indiana Jones, and while Indy was a masterclass in pulp fiction, Star Wars created a universe. In this case, Hunter x Hunter would be Star Wars. Unfortunately, Hunter x Hunter doesn't open up with a grandiose space battle to accentuate the massive scale of its world and story. Instead, it starts with an unassuming little kid named Gon who's preparing to take an exam in order to become a hunter. It took me 3 tries to get into this show, but when I finally did, I came out on the other end in an absolute daze, wondering why it took me so long to notice a masterpiece that was right under my nose. A series created by a man who was sick enough of the rules and confines of a genre to cut loose and create something better. This is Hunter x Hunter. Let's get into it. Hi everybody, thanks so much for watching. This is Mike. I'm coming to you from a super real place right now. Due to looming changes for YouTube in 2020, we at Bonsai Pop are starting a massive crowdfunding campaign to make sure that we ensure the longevity of this channel's future. If you're interested, please check out our video that we did on Kappa and YouTube last week. TLDR, right now we are working very hard to raise our Patreon to $6,000 a month. There are 4 of us, we all work on the channel, we split evenly. That is the bare minimum the 4 of us need to survive month to month. Right now, if 6% of our audience donated $1 a month, we would be over budget. Our Patreon community are some of the best people you could ever hope to meet. And if you notice them down in the comments with the hashtag ProudPatron, feel free to hit them up and ask some questions. We hope to see you in the Patreon Discord. Now let's get on with the show. Give it 3 episodes. We've all heard this before from somebody, but Hunter x Hunter is one of those shows. It's important to note that Hunter x Hunter is a deconstruction of the standard shonen battle anime. Everybody likes to point this out because it's arguably what defines the show, and it makes you sound smart. However, what it means for the narrative of Hunter x Hunter is far broader than a simple diversion of expectation. Togashi-san is an intelligent man, and I would argue that he has a bit of an anti-authoritarian streak in him. It's widely known that he waved the white flag on Yu Yu Hakusho, leaving the series to end in a way that largely disappointed fans. However, I feel his pain. The life of a mangaka is very similar to the life of a YouTuber. You're expected every week to produce a certain amount of entertainment, and after years and years, it can get overwhelming. But I'd like to offer a different theory as well. While it's clear that Togashi-san isn't in love with the process of manga production, I believe he quit Yu Yu Hakusho because he realized it wasn't what he wanted to create any longer. You can see his frustration in Yusuke when he laments about the constant influx of bigger and badder enemies. While obviously frustrating to a person in Yusuke's situation, these are also the creative trappings of creating a shonen battle rag of the power fantasy. For example, Dragon Ball Z. Right now, Goku has reached past the point of godhood by the end of Super. Where can he possibly go from here? In order to maintain the drama of overcoming adversity, the power levels in that series have had to reach above and beyond absurdity. All archetypical shonen head in that direction from issue 1. Hunter x Hunter is a clear sign that Togashi-san had higher aspirations. While it's obvious that he still wanted to create stories of physical struggle between opposing forces, he no longer wanted to take the Cold War approach of stockpiling muscles and power levels. So instead, he created a universe. While Gon is the focal point of the narrative, one of the best things about him is that he's essentially nobody in the big scheme of things and has no aspirations to be more than that. All he wants to do is make friends, go on adventures, and maybe find his dad, which inevitably mixes him up in a series of large-scale ordeals of the Italian Job and North Korea variety. However, at his core, he is still just a happy, infectiously positive little kid who's stronger than your average bear. The first arc sees him leaving his closed-off island to take part in the Hunter exam, where he meets and befriends Killua, Kurapika, and Leorio. Together, the 4 of them become the main cast, which I put in heavy quotations, but we'll get there. The first arc makes it abundantly obvious that becoming a hunter is no easy task, but at the same time, it slowly reveals the ambiguity behind the goal of becoming one. A hunter isn't a set job, it's more of a pass, a status symbol which allows an individual more privileges for being exceptional enough to pass that exam. For someone like Gon who wants nothing but adventure, having a hunter license opens all borders for him to explore. It's a means to an open-end and has very little to do with achieving various power levels, which many hunters never even bother with. In fact, if you pay attention, the exam itself is passable regardless of your physical strength. While there is a standard level of endurance an entry must have, after that, be it brains or brawn, or in Gon's case a little of both mixed with some pure stubbornness, whether you pass or fail the hunter exam is on you, not the rules of the exam. This arc also stands to set up the wide variety of characters who travel in and out of Gon's life or disappear never to be seen again. This is arguably one of the most subtle yet prolific aspects of Hunter x Hunter, the world building. Each and every character has their own motives and goals, making the world of Hunter x Hunter feel inhabited and mysterious. While we're watching Gon, everybody else comes and goes as they please, living their lives and progressing on their own personal paths. We only get to see where they've reached when they come back into contact with Gon. He is our epicenter for the show's purpose, but he's blatantly not the epicenter of that universe. It and everyone in it continues to evolve and change despite us not seeing them, and that's what really gives the world building realism and mystique, which keeps us glued to the screen waiting for the next episode. For instance, with the way the story sets up the core group of Gon, Killua, Leorio, and Kurapika, you'd expect them to be together throughout the entire series. It's standard in shonen anime to have a consistent group, like in Naruto, for example. But life doesn't work like that. It's a fact we all come to terms with as we age. People's lives take different paths, and we all say our goodbyes eventually. So naturally, and without skipping a beat, Kurapika and Leorio take off for a long time, only to pop back in and out here and there as the show progresses. The four will always remain friends, but they all have vastly different goals and ambitions. Just because you're friends doesn't mean you're always together, or that the other person can drop everything and show up when they're needed, like Chen and Chaozu. I mean, let's be real though, does anybody actually need Tien? He's basically Yamcha with no sense of humor and three eyes. Anyway, the same goes for the villains of the series, and I use that term very loosely. The line between good and bad is blurred sometimes beyond recognition in Hunter x Hunter. Killua, the fan favorite best boy, is not a good person. He loves Gon, take that as you will, but he's also a vicious killer with little remorse, sometimes down to the point of sociopathy. We view him as good because we like him and because he helps our little buddy Gon, and they're cute as hell together. But if you tie him to real world convention, he wouldn't just be bad, Killua would be downright terrifying. Then we have Hisoka, a hedonistic serial killer and predator. His goal in life is to find or groom people to his satisfaction in order to gain sexual pleasure from killing them. And he's very, very interested in Gon. However, he's somehow extremely likable. In fact, he's one of the most liked characters on the show. His actions, motives, loyalties, they're all as ambiguous as his insane appearance, and he doesn't exist to simply be the bad guy to beat up. He's relevant because he deeply wounded Gon's pride, which in turn winds up with them crossing paths over and over, reinstating Hisoka's lust for ending Gon's life when he's ripened. So I guess the real question we should be asking is exactly where does this show go? The answer is more or less wherever it wants to, because it was constructed in such an open way with such an open protagonist. Hunter x Hunter was given the room to simply explore itself. I mentioned earlier that I think Togashi-san is a bit of an anti-authoritarian, and that following the outline of a power fantasy was too restricting for him and his characters in Yu Yu Hakusho. And while every arc of Yu Yu is thematically different, there was still a need to follow shonenistic expectations. Hunter x Hunter has the same footprint of drastically different arcs, but with no formula to follow due to its deconstructionism. One of the best things about the show is never knowing where it's going to go, but always being pleased when you get there. By throwing out convention, Togashi-san threw out predictability, but because we're so indoctrinated by shonen style, we automatically expect certain motifs to be followed. Time and time again, Hunter x Hunter will subvert those expectations and leave you with absolutely no idea what's coming around the next corner. Even the power system known as Nen has nothing to do with how powerful you are, but how you choose to manifest said power. Even still, there is a rock, paper, scissors aspect to Nen abilities that means no matter how powerful you may be, if you come up against somebody whose power is super effective against yours, you're basically fucked. Therefore, a far heavier emphasis is placed on brains over brawn in Hunter x Hunter, which is generally antithetical to your typical shonen. And the way these characters think is something that is deliberately shown in the show's excellent animation. Every episode of this anime is feature film quality. Facial animation is not only on point, but it can tell the story without words. Fights are meaningful, thought out, and dangerous. They have real consequence, and winning isn't always a triumphant thing. Winning also isn't what always happens. Gon gets his ass kicked a lot. He often has to run away, rethink, regroup. Time and time again, he finds himself surrounded by unthinkable odds, and instead of finding the mystical power he had inside all along, he either books it, figures it out, or gets beat into the mud. There's a certain realism in this high fantasy world of expert seekers and a weight to actions taken by hunters in any field they occupy. But what truly makes Hunter x Hunter so great is its unshakable universe that it exists in. There are good shows, and then there are stories you never want to end. The greatest works of fiction in the modern age, Star Wars, Harry Potter, One Piece, Game of Thrones, all have the same thing in common. It's a clockwork-like world where every cog in the machine affects another and allows the story to tick. You're constantly aware that while your focus is being drawn to an individual, a million other tiny, intricate things are going on within the world that you don't know about. Every character has a story of their own outside the role they play in the specific narrative you're following. Yet their effect on the singular path you walk with the protagonist is profound enough to leave you wondering if it would be better to follow them around for a while. Artificial scarcity of background information leaves you guessing and hoping your questions will be answered eventually. The inquisitive nature of human beings becomes wrapped up in worlds like this when just enough information is divvied out to spark your imagination. When I said Yu Yu Hakusho is my favorite anime, I meant it. But it's my favorite because of what it represents. A time gone, memories that I cherish, and a style that I deeply miss. I love its characters and ideas and attitude. However, if I was to compare it to Hunter x Hunter on any critical level, there is no competition, other than the fact that the latter is a little harder to get into. However, what Togashi-san has proven is that going against the grain is where true inspiration is found. If it ain't broke, don't fix it is by far my least favorite saying. If it ain't broke, break it. Innovation comes from taking things apart and building something new. You may have noticed that I didn't spoil anything so far in this video, and I don't plan to. There are so many people who still haven't watched this series, and I want to give our audience that opportunity before I blow your goddamn minds with how insane Hunter x Hunter becomes. From tournament arcs to some crazy Italian job to going into a video game and eventually ending up in a bizarro North Korea faced with the morality of genocide. It gets deep, it gets dark, and I'm so excited to go over my thoughts about it in the future. So if you haven't yet, make sure that you hit that bell. That's the only way you're gonna see it, and believe me, you are not going to want to miss it. I cannot tell you guys how excited I am right now about where the channel is. We have just stockpiled this excellent list of shows, and we have a bunch more that we are going to be covering in the future, but now we have this option to go back and retread ground and go even farther into specific characters and plot points and arcs. Make sure that you hit that bell. That's the important part. I just wanted to take a second to say thank you to everybody who came to the Kappa video and showed your support. Patreon exploded last week in a way that we haven't seen before, and it's fantastic. Like we need it so much right now, and it is, I just can't say thank you enough. It's incredible how far $1 a month can actually get somebody. And with that, just like always, it is time for the super ultimate lucky patron of the week. This week it is Isan Morgan. Morgan, thank you so much for becoming our patron. We really appreciate all of your help. You are the best. Don't ever forget that. And as this is scrolling around, I tell you to check out our social media at bonsai_pop on Twitter and Instagram. Check out all these new names down here in the $20 tier. It's crazy. You guys are awesome. So thank you so much for watching our Hunter x Hunter video. I'm Mike. This is Bonsai Pop. And as always, thanks for watching.